Many of you have had a dog, and you probably know that the interesting thing about a dog is they kind of mirror whatever you're feeling. I heard a comedian talk about this in a very funny way, but it's like if you're angry, the dog gets angry. And if you're happy, the dog's happy. And if you're sad, the dog's sad. It just sort of mirrors us, right? Now, I think this is fascinating because this is sort of what the limbic system does, right? If you start moving fast and you're fast paced and you're anxious, the limbic system becomes fast paced and anxious. It starts to respond to that. And if you slow down and you slow your breathing and you start moving slower and you start speaking slower and you start to let go of tension, the limbic system starts to follow that. And if you get angry and you start to clench tightly and you start to grind your teeth and you're pacing back and forth and you're getting alert, the limbic system follows that. It gets alert. It gets primed. It's getting ready. It starts to change the chemistry in our body. And this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about when I say the future of mental health is learning how to grow and operate your nervous system, right? It's learning that it's not just us out there and then we're sort of alone in the situation and this crazy brain of ours, but that there's a relationship here between the thinker, our emotions, our consciousness, and this technology in our head, this nervous system, and that it's following us in a lot of ways. And we follow it. There's a symbiotic relationship. When the limbic system becomes aroused, then we become aroused, right? And sometimes it works in reverse, where I've had people that had like a shot of adrenaline or some kind of, something more physiological that aroused the limbic system first. And then that you saw how the thoughts, the emotions, the behavior, everything starts to change in favor of it. So in that situation, it's almost like the dog comes in all pissed off and angry or hyper or whatever, and then we start to respond to the dog. We start to take the cues from the dog. The dog's excited, we're excited. Okay, you got me excited too. Let's go. But generally, that I think that's probably more rare. It's usually the other way around at some level, unless, well, you're coming off a benzo. But then again, which came first, right? The horse or the carriage in this situation. Were we excited and anxious already, or the limbic system? Who knows? But not even really important in this topic. What's important is the relationship, that you understand that there is a relationship, and that you understand that when you're anxious, for example, and you need to stop, take a step back, look at your behavior, look at your thoughts. How fast are they moving? And look at your body. Are your eyes darting? Are you breathing shallow? Are you breathing fast? Are you moving fast? You're all over the place. And see, can you actually help retrain that limbic system in that moment, or at least dial it in by just changing physiologically in some of the things that you're doing? And the answer is yes. I mean, this is the basis of meditation, right? This is the basis of mindfulness, is the idea that if we breathe slow and we talk slow and we just slow everything down and all that tension, if we just let it go for a second, doesn't mean you're not still surging. Doesn't mean that behind it there's not this tidal wave going on, or this hurricane or cyclone going on behind all of it all. Absolutely. But it's okay. Let there be that momentum for a little bit. But you still breathe, you slow down. And what happens is the limbic system starts to hear that, and it starts to follow that. And that's why I really like using the body and our five senses to reprogram the limbic system, so to speak. And I have this technique, right? I tell all my clients to lay in the bathtub every night and access all five senses in a positive way. It's classical conditioning. It's finding a safe place to begin from, for one. We lay in the bathtub and we submerge ourselves in this warm water. And right away, all these cells, 1 trillion cells in our body and our skin, feels this warm, soothing water. And it sends a signal to the limbic system that this feels good, this feels pleasant, this feels safe. But then we go a step further. We light something that smells good, right? Maybe like an incense or a candle, or we put on some lotion or some perfume or something of that nature, right? And the limbic system says, well, this smells pleasant, it smells safe. And we put on some nice music, right? Something soothing and calming. And the limbic system says, well, this sounds safe. This sounds pleasant. Maybe we put something we can see on the toilet or at the edge of the bathtub, or some flowers or pictures, a plant, I don't know, anything. Or we watch something on our tablet or our phone of the beach, or right. And the limbic system says, well, this looks safe. This looks pleasant, right? And we slow our breathing down. And so now internally, we're actually activating that parasympathetic nervous system. We're slowing our breathing, and we're letting go. We're not just slowing our breathing, but every time we exhale, we let up. We just let up. We almost exhale a black film out of us. We just, and we just collapse into ourselves, right? And we slow down. And all of this is sending a signal to the limbic system that we're safe, we're okay. There are no grizzly bears. Now, it's going to take some time because there's a momentum, and the limbic system is sort of like a riled up dog. It's like, I'm not completely convinced, but I'm starting to take your lead on this. It says I'm starting to take our lead on this idea that maybe we are safe. And that's how we start to retrain the brain. That's how we start to systematically recondition the brain that things are safe despite what's going on in our body. Because the limbic system, it does know the difference between being injured, being sick, and being in danger. The problem with benzos is, coming off GABA. GABA is that sort of that heavy foot on the parasympathetic brake pedal of the fight or flight system, right? So coming off of it, it's a little bit different than any other drug, that we're already primed to be in a situation that allows that sort of forces the limbic system to react as though there were bears in the area, right? So it does take a hell of a lot of training, and it is a really an uphill battle to a point, especially when you're tapering off of benzos. But still, you can mitigate that down to a point where you can say, okay, I feel anxiety as a physical symptom, almost like an upset stomach, indigestion or pain or nerve pain. I don't have to look at that nerve pain or that stomach issues or the air hunger or the palpitations, the tinnitus, the anxiety, and I don't have to jump on that thing and react as though I was about to be mauled by a grizzly bear. That's the hard part about this. And that's the core of a lot of my teachings with a lot of you is that can we remove all of that and sit with it, and then something amazing starts to happen in that limbic system. It actually starts to respond. And guys, you might be going, I don't know, Dave, but let me drive this home a little further. I have so many clients that call me up in crisis. They are hysterical. Dave, I haven't slept in 3 days. I'm freaking out. Nobody can calm me down. I read this article. This thing happened to me. Whatever. I'm going out of my mind. Oh my God, I can't. I mean, they're stuttering. They can't talk. They're so freaked out, and they've been in this state. And I talk, and I tell their limbic system what it needs to hear. Sometimes I'm not even so much talking to the client as I am talking to their limbic system. And by the end of the call, they're laughing. Their whole their voice is relaxed. There's a presence, a calmness to them. You right? Now, how does that happen? If it really is just all chemical, and that shouldn't happen, right? I always tell people, if you have a heart problem, a kidney problem, you're a problem with diabetes, producing or managing glucose, there's nothing we can do to talk, nothing I can say, or anyone for that matter, that's going to change that, because it is a physiological problem, precisely a physiological problem. No talking, no prayer, nothing is going to change that. But with benzos, it's very fascinating where people can be in such a state, and sometimes for days or even weeks, and one good conversation, and it all comes back down. It all calms back down. So the fact that that's possible, guys, tells us there's something here. There's something we can work with. And so that's what I'm trying to inspire you to say, look at that. Look at that clue. There's something to work with there. And if you can do that, and there's clients, sure enough, as I'm saying this, it'll say, that's true. I've talked to Dave, and yeah, that was me, and they already know this. And so they already have that hope of, now I just need to learn how to activate that. How do I do that for myself? Dave calmed me down, or my husband or my wife calmed me down, or whatever the situation. How do I do it myself? Right? And that's what I'm trying to present here, is the clues that this limbic system, like an obedient dog, sometimes too obedient, right? It's trying to protect us to a fault. The mailman walks by the house and the dog's trying to jump out the window to kill him. That's the limbic system. You're trying to sleep and the dog is still pacing the house and you can't sleep because he's just certain there must be somebody around, right? But how do we calm that dog back down? How do we calm that limbic back down?